Yep.
Oh, that's a nice extra.
Yeah. I need to turn that off.
You got the codes?
Yeah.
You ready to go?
Yep.
Give it 5
Do we care about YouTube? I can just put the.
Fire it up.
I don't think anyone's going to be on it.
I know.
Hey Shane, are you going to talk about the continuing education credits that we're supposed to be doing as instructors?
No.
This is not the place for that.
No, probably not.
This is general meeting, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be mostly the website stuff
Okay.
and just a few updates. If you have specific questions, then hit me up tomorrow.
Okay, because that's supposed to be rolled out already. That we're supposed to be doing that as instructors, right?
Or at least keeping track of it. Most of it you probably already.
Because I clicked on that page and it wasn't obvious to me. Like, I mean, it tells you if you do like if you do certain things, you get credit for that. If you do those things and upload it into the system,
There's nowhere to upload it yet.
Oh, but like if I do yeah. So how does the system keep track of it?
It doesn't yet. You keep track of it.
Okay.
You know if you send somebody to a check ride, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know if you come to one of these meetings. I mean, the meetings themselves are logged, but we don't have any avenue to.
Okay. So how do I get credit to meet those requirements?
Well, you're not due until May 31st. Everybody. Nobody expires till May 31st.
Of next year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to worry about it.
You have 9 months before we actually even have to worry about it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we're not really required to fulfill it until starting next year, then?
You should be tracking what stuff you're doing.
Okay.
I mean, if you're sitting at home starting today and you don't do anything at all, no doing it, no nothing, you never show up to a meeting, and next year you want to continue to suck, then
Okay. So at some point next year, you might ask us to send that in, right?
well, it'll be before that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We just have the pieces.
Okay. So just keep track of it for now because you've been asking for it sometime.
So all the wing stuff you do probably is credit for all that.
Pretty much everything that you probably already do.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks.
Sancy 20. SANCY 20.
What was that code for?
Internet.
Okay.
You can take that.
And
This is the first time for anybody? One. Yeah. You've been here before.
I did the last one while watching. I think I've seen that, yeah. Yeah, I think I actually mentioned it. Apologize, yeah, with Gary Williams. I did see him. I'll have to watch it again.
Is Dave out there rounding people up?
Yeah. He was going around telling people 5 minutes.
10 minutes ago.
Yeah. You can have a back fridge sign, chain. Actually recording. Anybody flying north?
We good?
We can start the initial talk. There's about another 15 coming.
Okay.
But I told him 5 minutes, so. You got it online now?
Yep. Okay, so for the folks that are new or have not been to a meeting since, I don't even know anymore, last year or something.
Last one in January.
If you want to get credit for the meeting, you can go to the, it's under safety section, live event stream, the URL's there. Same for the folks online, safety, live event stream. You can do it at any point in time. Okay, so there's no rush to do it after the meeting's over. You can go back if you're online and need to watch part of it later, you can go back and put that in there. I believe at this point it only shows up for CFIs. If I remember correctly, that's the way it's set up. So if you're an instructor, that will show up for you. If you're a member and not an instructor, then you won't even see that block. And that's what I'm talking about is right here. The, CFI meeting credit. You ready for your update?
Yeah, that's fine.
You might as well get yours out of the way.
I'm pulling up. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I get all your things. There's been a lot going on with the plan stuff, but. All right, you want me to start off? All right. Mallory, do me a favor. Would you have some, if you have any announcements with these? Yeah, there shouldn't be too many.
You can go wherever you want.
Okay. On the club-wise, yeah, everything's been going nuts. First, thank you guys for coming out tonight. This was kind of for us, we're kind of winging it because of COVID. We knew that a lot of people wanted to have a meeting, and it took a while for us to get something. Hotels, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, and then restrictions or what have you. So I booked this event, just to give you guys an idea. I'm gonna grab a seat, guys, don't worry about it. Give you an idea, I booked this event in, was it March? I think I booked in March of this year, or April, when I finally was able to reserve a room. That's why I went smaller, because the room that we've always been in is booked for the rest of the year. It's just, as soon as they were open the floodgates, everybody's doing meetings now. So, anyways, the next one's going to be coming up in October. I think it was the 22nd.
Also look.
Anyways, well, this time we'll get a note out a little earlier. So, like I said, things have been really crazy on the club level. So, just to go through a few things. For those of you who fly to Montgomery Field, it's just a giant. I was going to say CF, all the other, type of acronyms. It's basically kind of a mess right now. It's changed regularly. Well, it's going to be, the building's going to be just an open forum for whoever wants to use it, to now ATP's moving in, and Crane is doing the build-out forum on the north part of the building. So ATP's going to have Henry's old office, the pilot lounge, the desk areas, where the partition is. We'll have that area. The front counter area is going to be ATP, and the old crew break room, Graham's old office, is going to be ATP's. I tried to get the other half of the building. They said, no, we want to make it communal. So the old couch area and that dark hole where the sim used to be is going to be communal to an extent, but I guarantee it won't be. We're still going to keep our 3 offices. Open path, still getting out of all the offices. Computer room we had to lock down, and we're locking down the classroom. Twofold, because the door was always open, we had all kinds of people we never even knew or saw starting to know there were free computers, and would just come in and have their field day with the computers and throw whatever they wanted and do all their moving. So we're making a lot of changes in that arena. You'll see some things changing with regards to how the rooms are going to be configured. We're going to take the computer room. We don't need dispatch anymore. We don't need to print out post-flight sheets and stuff like that. So printers are going to be going away. You'll have we're going to put computer in each of the rooms, and we're going to bust them up. So each of the classrooms will have its own computer. So basically, you have 2 full classrooms, so to speak. Eric Archer's sim is going to remain in that position. He's actually got to do a printer. He's paying them to keep it in that spot. But the big thing I really want to stress is we've got the automatic door closed. I know it's a pain, but the problem is we need to start locking stuff down, or things are going to start disappearing. We're going to start having things happen. Plus, then they can track people coming and going. Same with the front door. That's going to stay open path. Even though when ATP kicks in, the door will be open. So we'll grow as time goes. Palomar's getting ready to go through another. We're going to go through Palomar, rip out all the old carpet. We're going to put new flooring down. We're going to paint the place. We're getting rid of the 2 sims that were taking up space in the Palomar. There's 2 rooms that have an old Frasca, an old twin sim. Those all going. We're going to try to make that more classroom. We're actually weighing the possibility if there's a CFI that works out of there is interested in maybe occupying an office. We might make that available, like a use fee or a rent fee for however long you want to use it. That's also a possibility as well. We're going to turn the computer room into a classroom, and then of course we have the main classroom not to the west. So that's going to be happening in a few months too. You'll see those. Fleets are going nuts, as you guys can see on Master. We're bringing in a lot of aircraft, and they're all flying. Our averages right now, we're averaging about 3,500 hours a month fleet-wide across the 4 airports. Membership staying in 2,100 route, and the interesting thing about it is when I first came in with the fleet we had and the membership we had about a 21 average 21 per aircraft. We're at 22 today. spoke a year and a half ago. Just prefer to schedule master if you have questions on anything that's on the system, let me know. I'd be happy to walk you through it. What else? Everything else is going pretty good. It's just been extremely busy. Change is just makes things even harder. It really does. So the big thing is, like I said, we're seeing a lot of history right now. We're changing from the old way we did things, and we're making things. So you'll see things start to get better over the next couple months. Any questions for me before I kick it over to Shane and we get into the website, which has been a phenomenal improvement, and there's a lot of change in here, and I mean, my hat's off to Shane on this one because they really dialed it in, and there's a lot of neat stuff in there, there's a lot of new stuff that's just on our end. It makes it so much easier on the ops side, on the membership side, on the joint side. The joint side was amazing. We went to the Zoom meetings we did our Zoom meetings for new members. We figured a big meeting when we met in person at the admin building, we had 15 people. That was a busy day. So this year, 25.
Do a wage presentation.
Oh yeah, words. Boom, boom, boom. It's crazy what's going on. So and I'm not complaining, but just to let you guys know what's going on with us. With that, I'm gonna let Shane cover stuff because he has a lot of ground to cover. And yeah, I just really want to say thank you to him for what he's been doing. He's been really awesome. You sleep much anymore?
Well, no, but that's for a whole different reason.
All right. If you guys need to talk to me, I'm around. In the meantime, enjoy the show.
Okay, so for the folks that are online, hopefully this is a little bit better. I'm going to spend very little time on the stuff that's public or just general information-ish, and more time on the stuff that's kind of safety related and the stuff that's dynamic. So you'll see, the homepage, whatever. Down at the bottom, this stuff is not. So I'm going to point out the stuff that's automated, so you don't start sending emails about, hey, that's not right, or these dates or times are not right, or whatever. So down at the bottom here, this is not yet automated because we have to pull the data from several different sources. When I say the stuff down here, I mean the members, the flight hours. We keep resetting the days without incident, so like every couple of weeks it goes to 0 anyway. So I might as well just get rid of it. We did pretty good. We had somewhere around 90 days at one point in time, and then it just went south. So at least once a week, if not twice, 2-3 times a week, this gets updated. So just that this will end up being automated. It's just way low profile because there's a lot of other stuff going on. For the instructors, I'm going to go back and forth between stuff that's specific to instructors as well. So for the instructors, the featured instructors down at the bottom, that changes. It's just random. Okay, so there's no. When someone so if someone loads a page, or if everybody right now loads the front page, you're probably going to get different people. It changes. So for the instructors, you guys can modify all this stuff, and it's all up at the top under my account. We'll go into that a little bit, but you can adjust everything you want to put on here. As you can see, there's all kinds of interesting stuff, emojis, whatever. You'll see that there is a rating system now. I would encourage your clients to go out if you, unless you don't want them to, because you fear what they might say. Have them go online and they can rate your instruction, and I'll show you some of the parts of that in a little bit. But if there's something, so anything that has to do with comments, rating, and testimonials for airplanes, it's all automatically published. Okay, so if you say something stupid, someone's going to have to flag it, or we're going to have to see it to actually pull it back off of there. And then, depending on what it is, it hasn't happened yet, but it's inevitable. You might be banned from ever making a comment again. So, but like I said, it hasn't happened yet. You can rate people, you can rate your instructors, you can rate, so for the general members, you can rate the instructors, you can rate airplanes, and you can make comments on articles and whatnot. So that's all I'm going to do here. if you have clients that want to join, this whole process here is automated in terms of, so I think forever at this point, we're going to do everything online as far as new member briefings.
Yeah, there's good chance.
Okay.
We can't get the admin building back.
So until further notice, everything to do with a new member is online. Okay. So you're not going to see the form here just because I'm signed in. If you're signed in, there you don't see the form that allows you to sign up. But the form is pretty self-explanatory. You follow these instructions. That seems really difficult for some people. We've had people that don't understand what first name and last name means. I kid you not, and they put in the city for the first name and last name. So I don't know. But anyway, if you need someone to sign up, so you have a client, they're coming in, they want to start flying, send them to this page here. They're going to fill out their information. They get an email. They can schedule as soon as they hit submit for their new member application. They get a page that says, "Hey, schedule your orientation." They're every Tuesday at 6. Every Tuesday at 6. 6. Okay. Tuesday at 6, with the exception of the 5th Tuesdays, those are gone. There's no 5th Tuesdays. So not that it matters to you guys, but there you go. So that's all. So that it does all the schedule master stuff. It creates all their data, and Talisha just takes the list from whoever signs up and briefs them accordingly. Yeah.
Just a quick little question, maybe you can hold it, but in signing up on this logging in, rather, remember once you log in, you can't use the same login that you did on the schedule master, can you?
You're talking a new member?
Yeah, well, a member that's not a new member, but a member that's been in the club.
Every member that has been in the club already has a login, and it should be the username should be identical to what's in Schedule Master, unless they never created one.
The password has to be different, correct?
Yeah, right now the passwords don't tie together. We hopefully at some point in time down the road we can get that in there, but it's again that one's a little low profile too. The way they store their passwords, yeah, what doesn't matter. So the about section here. I mean, this is all pretty. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this, but specifically club instructors. So there's a lot of people here. There are 170 instructors plus approximately 20 in the senior instructors / specialty category. So you can do a bunch of filtering here. So you can actually filter by aircraft if you want to see somebody that's approved. Let's say the Great Lakes, because I know Brian's sitting right there. You're going to see only the people that are qualified to instruct in the Great Lakes. So we can get rid of that, and we can see if there's anyone online. There probably are. Oh, look, Sean's online. So there's a whole bunch of people that are online. So you can also search by, if you want, if you're a member and you want to search by a star. So I can do like 4 to 5 stars, and we get a few people. So you can see you can use home airport, but unless instructors have gone in there and set a home airport, it's not gonna do any good. So if you're an instructor, go online and set your home airport if you have one. Okay, just in case anyone wants to use this. But anyway, so there's tons of people here. Again, this like most of the areas where there's instructors presented to someone, it's randomized. So let's say someone signs up. Part of the sign up confirmation page, there's one instructor that shows up on that confirmation page. Who knows who that's going to be? Okay, so the idea is, and I think most people probably don't use that. Most people still use the Cfi Service Request. There's a lot of people using the Cfi Service Request. So my guess is that that's without going and looking at the analytics, that's where most people are getting their instructors. So if you're a member here, just a show of hands, non-instructors that are members. Okay, good. All right, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so Cfi Service Request here. This could be for anything. You want to get a tailwheel endorsement. If you're a new member, you need to check out whatever. You guys can read and follow the instructions. It will autofill your data, okay, assuming that you're logged in, which you have to be to submit most of these forms. You know, the aircraft type, text, etc. I have heard, and we now have some feedback with this form, that the response time is pretty good. Okay, I see them all that come through there. I don't. They go into a file. So, you know, I don't really do anything with them unless I need to for some reason. Okay, questions on the CFI stuff? Yes.
Yeah. So people ask me if there's still room to add him as an instructor in the arrow, and I don't know if there's the list where they can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Good question. So we're talking the slots. Just have them reach out to me. Yes, for the most part, there's slots and open for everything, but it's not online yet to where they can easily access it. There's a little bit of a challenge with that, but by and large, there's slots for everybody. There's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of people that either aren't teaching in that anymore, whatever. So for the most part, there's openings. But yeah, just have them shoot me an email, and you know, the arrow, I'll send them. Usually what I do, so what Roland's talking about is for instructors that want to start teaching in different airplanes. Shoot me an email and just tell me what you want to instruct in, and I'll give you the list. And I'm just pulling from the list that we had on the website prior that are usually, I'll give you 3 or 4 instructors that can do CFI checkouts. And then they submit it as an additional airplane authorization, and that gets added to your profile, and that's all hands off. You don't have to do anything. Okay. So does that answer your question? All right. The calendar here. So this is where we're going to continue to push this and get more information on here, and as things start opening up and we can actually meet, we're going to start pushing this more. But the calendar is here. It's under the About section, and there's several different pages that have upcoming events. You can click on them and see what if there are any details for those events. You can click on them and see them here. So this one I just happen to put in, but you get the idea. So if there's links to, you know, like a Zoom meeting or a live stream or whatever, they'll be in here. All right, that's it there. Okay, let's hit the fleet page for a minute here. The fleet page, there's a lot of different ways you can search. Depends on, you know, a lot of people know what airplanes they like to fly. So like I can click this little hourglass up at the top here, 756 Romeo Alpha. I could even just do 756, and then it's going to find 2 articles or 2. So one is the airplane, and the other is just an article that has it in it. I'm going to go back to the airplane pages in a second because there's tons of data on here. But that's one way to search. The other thing you could do, certainly you can, you know, if you're tied to a specific airport, you can go there. And let's say we want to find, so a lot of people use this search here, and let's say we do like 150 to 170 an hour. Oh, that's kind of close. Anyway, there we go. So we got 4 airplanes that meet that criteria. So you can do all kinds of stuff with the search here. You can search by useful load if you want to search by useful load, if you have a certain parameter. You can select airplanes at a specific location, which I mean, you can do it here, but you can also obviously go up here. So we wanted to see everything's at Palomar. So there's a lot of different ways to get the same data, all right? Just like Garmin stuff. So here's all the Palomar airplanes. The way the fleet pages, okay? So I want everybody to understand where this data comes from so that you don't yell at Dave and I, because there's a lot of moving parts for all of this data that we're trying to aggregate here. So most of these pictures, we have a process in place that airplanes coming forward, we can't even onboard them unless there's photos, right? Brian will attest to that when I think he was the first one that did it. But you have to have at least one photo. Okay, as an owner, you've got to have one photo, and it's the photo that goes here, the featured image. Okay, there are still some older airplanes that don't have photos. I'm not going out and taking pictures of every single airplane. If you have pictures of airplanes and you notice that they're not on there, feel free to send them to me if you're not an owner, and I'll get them put up there for you. Send them to support@plusoneFlyers.org. Everything should go there. If there's other data missing, again, and you're not an owner, send the information there, and I'll tell you what to look for. Because there's a lot of stuff that owners have direct control over what gets put on here. Okay, so it's not us. We have provided as many of the tools as we can to the owners. What they do with those tools is up to them. Okay, hang on. All right, so let's go into. Well, let's just pick. I don't know what's in any of these, but let's see. Okay. Oh, good. There's some information. So this top little excerpt here, the owner controls this. Okay. So if you're searching on an airplane, and we do, let's just say, let's just do. We just want Palomar. We'll just hit search. So what you'll see is, wow, surprising. All of these airplanes actually have, that's good. It's a bad example, but that's good. So all of these have excerpts in them, which means someone, probably the owner and or a combination of us, at some point in time have put these excerpts in here, okay? The owners have the ability to edit this data, okay? I'm going to skip ahead just for a second here. The aircraft description, for the owners out there, if you want to sell your airplane, then put something in here, all right? I mean, this is pretty basic, but you get the idea. Again, owners have the ability to go in and put whatever they want in this section here, okay? I'm going to go back to that in a second. That's a monumental undertaking. These are just links to FlightAware. So right now you click it and it'll take you to the FlightAware tracking, so you can easily see someone that scheduled the airplane, they didn't return on time, and you say, where the heck is my airplane? And you can go online and look. Eventually, we are probably going to have something like that where it shows up. I mean, you can see the location right on this page. It's a little bit farther down the road. Okay, same with the registration if you want to see any information about the registration. This box here, okay, this is updated automatically from Schedule Master every single day at 1 a.m. Okay, every day, 1 a.m., this information is pulled from Schedule Master. Right, so if a rate is changed, it will be updated here. So if you're an owner, you cannot modify this information. We typically don't modify this information. You know, someone does it in Schedule Master, which I think Dave does almost all of them, if not all of them. Okay, so all of this stuff comes directly from there. The owners have the ability to change this stuff here, the owner info. They have the ability to change the shop info. We're working on adding some additional information for the shops. So if you've got students that need to go get logbooks, you can go to the shop page if you want and find out exactly how to get logbooks or whatever. So that's coming. The aircraft status is pretty new. It's a feature from Schedule Master that we're in the process of tying together. I'm waiting for one thing from Schedule Master. Everything's already in place on our end, so we're waiting on them to get the last piece of it. But basically what it is, it's a PDF file that will show you all of the information for that airplane. So you can see, I mean, this follows pretty much what everybody teaches. The Aero, the Aviates, or that's what a lot of people teach anyway. So the Aero docs, you'll see that here. So this, what you see means that there is data that does not exist in Schedule Master. Okay? Get a hold of the owner. This stuff needs to go in. If you don't see this stuff, we're trying to put all this together and find out where this data is missing, but it's not super easy to do that. So if you see stuff like this, contact the owner, or you can certainly shoot me or you can send a message to an email to support@plusoneFlyers.org. and we'll try to get this information as well. Okay. Yeah.
How often is that updated?
Great question. So the piece that we're missing from Schedule Master is that process, which we have it set to fire once a day, and it'll be, I think it's 11 p.m., I want to say, somewhere around there. It was supposed to happen several days ago, so I imagine any day now it's going to be updated, but who knows? I push them, but there's 2 people that develop there, yeah.
So weight balance of CTAB 6, VOR checks, CTAB 4, where are those located?
Yeah, so those are, they're in books that don't exist, is the answer to that. Okay, so they,
Part of my argument is for what do you want from VOR check? You expect that the
The-
owner's going to update that every time somebody goes out and does a VOR check?
no. So the VRR check, that's why it says tab 4. It's not tabbed right now in most airplanes. It's actually in the ops binder somewhere if it hasn't been torn out. So anything that says C tabs, which is what, 2 of them, they should be, basically it's pointing to the ops binders. That's all we're doing here. Okay. This will at least give you the information. I mean, a VOR check is not going to ground the airplane in 90% of the cases, and the weight and balance certainly will, but I'm going to show you how to get that in just a second. This other stuff definitely will ground the airplane, right? So if you look here and you see, and they actually have it calculated, so it'll update. Every time this page generates, you're going to see this number go down, or if they do something, this one doesn't have any ADs, which I find a little bit surprising, but there you go. This is based on the information that we get from, I think, the owner, that Dave works with them to get the ADs. So if we don't have the ADs, they won't get in Schedule Master. Okay.
So the ELT, alternative transponder checks, ADs are all pulled from Schedule Master?
Yep.
Okay, so
This data is 100% Schedule Master, all of it. Okay, back to here. So just moving over here to the checkout documents, this is going to tie into what we were just talking about here in a second. Pilot requirements, checkout requirements, you can send people here to look. All this is it's ops rules aggregated into this. Okay, so whatever was in the ops rules haven't changed in I don't even know how long. All that data is right here. Now, everybody starts getting uptight about the aircraft documents, avionics, etc. This is now 100% in the control of the owners. Okay, we have put all the code in here to allow the owners to update this stuff on the fly. So it's a matter of filling out like 3 pieces of information. What is it? Okay, registration, for instance. When does it expire? And put your PDF in. Okay, then the process in the background will actually put this in to the correct spot for that airplane, and it then shows here. So owners, if there's any owners that go in here, most of you should know how to do this because we sent out instructions. Registration, I mean, there's a few things, registration and maybe weight and balance will change, airworthiness probably won't change, okay? But if you click on here, again, this is what you're going to see if an owner has not updated something. Every owner has had the instructions to be able to do this, so if they don't do this, either don't fly their airplane or contact them and tell them to update it. It literally should take about 2 minutes if they have the form. It's not that big a deal, yes.
So why do we have to put the airworthiness and registration copies? I can see giving the registration dates on here, but putting copies on the website is no advantage to the club members. The documents are in the airplane, and they have the registration dates.
Okay, I disagree, but if you want to take that offline, we can talk about it. But as of right now, this is where it is. This is where it's staying. And I've had numerous cases where people have actually flown airplanes that the registration was out of date. They could have checked it on here beforehand. We've had numerous people that have asked for this feature.
I
So there it
understand
is.
having the registration dates up to date is important, but having copies of them doesn't have any value.
Okay, well, I'm not going to argue with that.
This makes a lot more work for the owner to have to go pull it out of the airplane, make a copy.
Well, then don't do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
We get a lot of requests for these type of documents.
This is not going to change, so we're not going to argue about it here, Dave. All right. The flight manual here, same thing. All of the flight manuals should now be correct. So this is all. They're all flight manuals that are pulled from a list. So basically, we were not going to wait for all of the POHs from the owners. So we put all this together, and all of these flight manuals should all be active. So if you click on one, then it should take you to.
Yes, the generic book. It's not going to be the book.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, and that's, I mean, all of these are generic. So don't, I mean, that's the whole point of being a pilot, right? You got to make sure all your data is accurate when you get to the airplane. Avionics, engine documents, supplements, and miscellaneous documents. Again, we have provided the tools to the owners, which is this is a very simple process. They select from a bunch of drop downs what avionics are in their airplane, and they submit the form, and then we update it. It gets updated pretty quickly online here, and then all the data shows up under these tabs. Okay? Yes.
So POHs, weight and balance, avionics, engine documents, supplements, airplane flight manual supplements. I've had all those on all my airplanes on the old website. When I started checking, I'm finding a lot of them did not carry over. So
True.
Is there a reason why that didn't happen?
Yes, there is. But you can't go in and fill out the form that has a bunch of drop downs, then we can certainly hold your hand to walk you through that if you want. Okay. Photo galleries. Again, owners have the ability to add photos on these galleries. There's a requirement to basically have one photo. You can have up to 12. So a lot of owners, I know the Great Lakes has, I think 12. I think it's 12. So yeah, upside down, inside out. I'll find an airplane that has some reviews on here, but I encourage everyone to go in and create reviews for their airplanes that they like to fly. Some owners will look at this and maybe make some changes. Some owners won't. That's up to them. Yeah. Okay. So let's. That's a good point. Anything that's maintenance related that shows up on there will automatically be pulled off. You cannot have anything. Hey, this didn't work on this airplane. You can't have it. All right, because that's an open squawk at that point. Just don't do it. Yeah. Again, we haven't had these problems yet, but they might be coming. So you'll see, so the airplanes that require authorized instructors have authorized instructors listed. It will pull, hey, look, there's that. It'll pull that information based on the main database. So there's not any, it just makes it easier for us to manage all this. And again, if you're an instructor, you get checked out in, let's say, 182, then you'll start to appear here. You'll see there's tons of people that fly, instructors that teach in the 182s. There's just a node down at the bottom that it says 172s. There's no list of authorized instructors. The assumption is that pretty much every instructor is going to be able to teach the 172. Okay, so the basic trainers don't have that. Okay, any other questions on aircraft status?
You breezed over it. I don't know if you want to talk about now with the four-flight button.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes. Okay. So putting all this is, has anyone ever created a four-flight profile for weight and balance? Yeah, how long does it take? It's not 30 seconds, right? It takes a while. Multiply that by 100 airplanes. We've tried to crowdsource this kind of stuff. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody sent information. I think maybe I got 5. So that is something that I really want to get on here, so you can click on it from your four-flight and get the data. It's just it's moving up in the priority list, but right now it's probably in the bottom 50% at this point. It's definitely not at the bottom. I really want the four-flight integration. It's a tremendous undertaking. A lot of airplanes, a lot of moving parts there. Yeah, thanks for that reminder. All right. So moving on here to the safety section. This just basically, I'm not going to go over all this. You guys can read it. This describes the just kind of the overall premise of the safety system, the safety program. I try to put a monthly quiz. Well, I do put a monthly quiz, and you'll see in a minute here the results of those quizzes I put out for the. So this is August, which means September. Somewhere within the first week of September, the results will show up on the membership dashboard. And I'll tell you right now, this quiz, it's going to be really interesting results because I've seen some of the submissions. It's pretty interesting.
Make it required.
Are those tied with our usernames?
Actually, they're not.
We can.
Thanks, I'm going to do that. No, I don't even. Yeah, I never. All I pull is like the percentages of what everybody asks. So just a few other pieces of information. The last meeting will be on here. So this meeting, it takes a couple days to get it all put on here, but this meeting will be on here, and then latest incidents. So the incidents that show up here, there's a couple places to get this. The incidents that show up, we'll go into those in a second here, are only incidents that have the investigations have been completed. Anything that has not been completed, you guys won't see on here yet. So the one about the lake, I'll tell you a little bit about it when it comes to that time. It's almost completed, but it won't show up here yet. For any new instructors or those that may be getting their certificate soon, you can read about how this program works here. The overall idea is to try to provide a lot of transparency so everybody can see the information that we see. There is a cap to the number of instructors. That's based on the number of members and a ratio for the instructors that are here. You guys have seen all of that. The average waiting time right now is maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, the turnover is pretty quick, so people aren't staying for years on the list. Indeed. And then Phil, I think, was asking about the credit program. That'll be a different meeting. So again, for instructors that are either online or here, nobody's authorization is going to expire until May of next year, at the end of May of next year. There's plenty of time. So don't freak out if you can't sign in today or put your code in tonight. You're not going to be locked out of the system tomorrow. Accident reports. This is really interesting. This is fairly new. It's basically the same thing. This is just more of them. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to read. I'm sorry. Well, you know what? Never mind. I'll go into this. Yeah, that's got a video and all that stuff. Okay. So we try to put, again, as much information as possible. I'm still building this out because it's fairly new. But you can see most of the information is on here. There's some stuff that's member specific that will not show up here. The accident data, just as an FYI, is only available to members. So you have to be logged in to see the stuff. If you're not logged in, you're not going to see it. There's not personally identifiable information in here, but we don't want everybody going through and seeing this. So there's a synopsis. The synopsis is stuff that I put together. This is all stuff that's submitted by the member. When they put it in here, you'll see the damage amount, if we have data on the weather, all the pictures that we get, the pilot report. So this is directly from the pilot. If there's a witness, whatever, that shows up. This is great. I'll play this for a second while I'm talking. This comes from right-hand side. Dave will point it out. Watch the video. You'll see if there are other narratives. Someone else, there's multiple witnesses or whatever, that'll show up here. If there's flight track data, ATC data, NTSB, etc., you guys can see that stuff. You know what? I need to fast forward it because it's going to take forever to get there. All right, ready? Wait for it. It's going to come here in just a second. As soon as the person goes in. It's right about there. There are new section down at the bottom. There's safety recommendations. That's brand new, so not all of them are going to have safety recommendations. Some of them are not going to have safety recommendations just because they don't need to. And then there's comments. So the comments, you can certainly put anything you want in there. They are tied to your name, Dave. So If you submit comments, then your name's going to be attached to that. And wait for it. 3, 2, 1. It happens quick too.
Yeah, it's real fast.
You would never believe that a gear would go up that fast on the ground, but there we go. Nope.
Nope.
And I think it might still be kind of sort of tied down.
No, I don't think the tail's tied down.
Everything was tied down.
Yeah, if he had a tail chain on it, it probably would.
There it goes.
He did what was told to do.
So the moral of that story, why you don't ever teach or mess with a gear handle on the ground. Could go without saying, but there you go. Anyway, so all the accidents are now going to be in here. That with very minor, like under $2,500, you're probably not going to see something like this. Anything that's above that, you'll see that stuff. Some of it's good reading. Some of it, I'll tell you right now, the lake is going to be very good reading. Let's just say, never mind. Anyway, so you can see all of the stuff here. All right, live event stream, that's where we are now. I'm not going to go into that. Okay, this one's a big one, and this is going to tie into the membership dashboard here in a second. This is an anonymous system. You can submit this anonymously if you would like. Do not include member names. Right there. Do not include member names. So if there's something that happens, and you'll see several of them here in a minute, just put the data that you want. If you have any data, you can put it all in here. Again, self-explanatory. The idea, so I follow up with every one of these. That's number one. Number two is most of these are pretty minor. They don't cause damage. They're just kind of like, hey, that was kind of dumb. Let's try not to do that again, and we move on. They are all available, unless there's identified information, in which case I have to delete them. They're all available in the dashboard, which you'll see here in a second. Good reading sometimes if you're stuck in the ground because of weather or whatever. Questions on this? Okay. There's some general, you'll see throughout the website, there's like general aircraft downloads. It's got all kinds of POH information in there. Incident report, God willing, you'll never have to fill that out. So I'm just going to bypass that. All right, I'm going to go back to the member dashboard in a second here. We talked about the Cfi Service Request. So there's a lot of stuff available to you as a member. The Cfi Service Request we talked about. The document uploads is for your, well, you'll see there's these things here. Fuel receipts, medicals, flight reviews, CFI certificates. Now, the top three, well, not fuel receipts because that doesn't matter. Medical and flight reviews. Those are automatically updated as soon as you submit it. Okay, so in Schedule Master, you do your flight review today. What are we at, the 26th, 27th? 27th, 26th. You do your flight review today. You say, I did my flight review today. You upload a copy, and you look in Schedule Master in 30 seconds from now. Your next date will be August 31st of next year. Okay, it's all automatic. So this is up to the member. Okay, so for the instructors, when you do pilot checkout stuff, there's not a tie-in for a couple different reasons, but we trust that you're going to put the right data in there, but it is validated and spot checked by one of the staff. So they'll look at the PDF, they'll double check it and make sure that it's accurate. Okay, but it will update right away. So if you're blocked from booking an airplane or something because your flight review expired and you upload a flight review, then it's going to update automatically. Same thing with your medical. Okay. CFI certificates, that is not automatic at this point. So I update those manually. I try to do it within 24 hours or so. Fuel receipts, that's pretty self-explanatory. You'll see all that. All of that stuff, you get an email confirmation, and it's on your dashboard too, which you'll see in a second. Most members will not have to submit this. Most members probably don't even know what this is, the IDP plan. So if there's, you guys can read through it again. I think you can read, so I'm not going to go through it. But if you need to fill out the IDP form to get reimbursed for something, you can do it all here. There's a whole process that goes on in the background that it goes through this process, and then somebody approves it and then it gets paid, and then you'll get a check or dues credit. I don't know, whatever. However, Dave's got it scored away. So that's available to the members. You can read through this stuff, and there should be probably some new documentation on that sometime coming out, I think. I'll go back to questions here in just a minute, guys, for those online. So membership directory, some people, I mean, this is just kind of a, you guys can use it however you want. But just to give you an idea, the only people that will show up here are those that have verified themselves and have not turned their profile off. So if you don't verify yourself in the system, which I'll show you here at the end, then it actually tells you right up the top, and there's a spelling error. It'll tell you right at the top how to turn yourself off from showing up here. Okay, only available to members, but it is there if you want to, friend people. It works pretty similar to Facebook, and there are filters as well, so you can see different people. These are all just generic pictures, obviously. It's not something you probably put in. All right. So these two things here. Okay. Anybody can write an article pretty much about anything. We've had some really interesting articles that are like one sentence long. Those didn't get published. But we've had some other really good articles that a lot of people have seen and they have been published. It's it's pretty easy to do. You can title whatever. This will be edited, so this will not post automatically. It goes to Webmaster. Webmaster will edit it. Almost always there's going to be some kind of grammatical or spelling error. See, I can't even talk right with it. So you can go through this. I mean, the editor is a WYSIWYG editor. It's easy this stuff is pretty easy to do. And then I always recommend putting some kind of image in there. You can actually embed images in the middle as well in the article. So let's see, I think if we look at under aviation general, you'll see what someone submitted. Here we go. I don't think Tim is here either, but I'll check on Tim's article. So this is a member, he wrote this article, you can see it here, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there it is. And then there's a bunch of people that commented on it. Okay? So if you feel passionate about something, you want to write an article, feel free. That's what it's there for. And those are all public. Okay? Very similar for the aircraft reviews. There's some guidelines here that are pretty self-explanatory. You pick your airplane, and you put your little, whatever you want to say, heading. Everybody's probably used to doing some kind of a review. You put your ratings in there for those metrics, and then submit it. Again, this is automatic. So let me think of one. Let's see here. I think this one might have had one. Let's take a look. Okay. Does he have any? Do you know one off the top of your head? I don't know if this one is. Well, I've got a bad one, but I won't pull that one up. 6, 8. Try one. There we go. I think this one has a review. There we go. That's what it looks like. So you guys can see, and this is one. The system will just kind of keep scrolling through. I think there's only one on. Oh, there's a couple of them. There we go. So you can see, in general, people like this airplane. So hopefully that helps out with the. It logged me out. All right, give me a second to log back in. Stand by. Dave can sing and dance while I do this. So I'm going to
you get any complaints? Interchanges fluid.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a good point.
That's probably something to discuss while Shane's dealing with that. I can't stress enough to you guys, watch your altitudes, overpopulated areas. Lots of complaints coming in. I had an hour and a half meeting with airport director and a rep from the city of San Diego because the community over here at Spectrum doesn't like you guys flying over. Yeah, you doesn't like you flying over their apartment and condos. You guys are noisy. They have above the lip. But yeah, we had an hour meeting about how you guys need to fly quieter. But they live inside the airport
Just shut the
environment.
engine off.
Boundary. I mean, it's like this was all commercial, but this is the problem. At dinner with a handful of people sitting at the table. There are some people, like, there's two big hotspots right now, the Scanzo and the Encinitas, Solana Beach, Del Mar area. The Scanzo group's got money behind them. They've hired a real high-end law firm, and they're going for scalps. And we've had two run-ins with the law firm. The first one was about a year ago. They sent me a subpoena for 3 years worth of flight records, including members' names and owners' names, and they wanted all your guys' information relevant to the flight because they're trying to hold each individuals now liable in the lawsuit. Well, we told them to go pound sand anyway. So they're trying a different attack, and what they're doing is they're finding the owners of the aircraft because God love ASB. If you did my new member briefings before I had the Terminator was loose, you can see the Terminators coming out of the screen. Big Brother's alive and well. And you go over somebody's house, they've got an ASB antenna ready to go. You go 999 feet, bam, that thing goes off and the report goes right down the FAA. That's how fast it is. I'm probably fielding around 3 to 4, and probably I get about 2 a month. Where the FAA sends me an email, I need this information on this pilot, this time, this. What happened? Well, flying over the area. Okay. And they send me the flight, or the flight aware, track, there they are. And it's like I said, Big Brother's caught you. And depends on what goes on. Most of the time it's been counseling, but if it continues to be consistent, then they could become more enforcement. A lot of people are like, well, we're required to do this for FARs, I have to do this for training. Understood, but at the same time, primary rules, you can't buzz somebody's house and you turn around a point 4,000 feet. It's just all there's to it. So people are circling over here at the racetrack, and they're buzzing the houses that are south of the racetrack. Well, they're using the racetrack at 600 feet and buzzing their houses at 400. Wait, you're going to get busted. That's just all it is. But the discussion was, we've got purpose sprawl going on, right? They find an empty spot of land, they're going to build a house on it. Well, I don't know about you guys, when I was flying back in the 80s, the only thing that was out of Alpine was lizards, snakes, coyotes, and mountain lions. Have you flown over lately? Okay, it's casinos, it's communities, it's filled up. Guess what? They got a legal group 2 coming after us. Go someplace else. So now you get pushed farther and farther. And as everything starts to grow, we are going the same way as the mountain lion and the coyotes. We're getting pushed out too. What's happening? Eventually, wildlife's going to confront with the humans. Where'd the dog go? I don't know, but that mountain lion just took off with one. And that's what's happening now. So they're approaching in areas where we're used to nobody's around, and now they're starting to fight us, and we're saying, well, no, we've been here, we're not bothering you. So but you're destroying our peace and tranquility of property ownership. Whatever. That's a legal case we're trying to use now. So as long as you guys stay above 1,000 feet, and the other thing I'm recommending to people, if you're going to go fly sightsee, have a good time. Great. Look at something, and then move on. Okay? So like the person at the grocery store that decides, well, I really like enchilada sauce, but I'm not really sure. All you want to get is candy go. Well, I'm just not sure. Well, that's the resident sitting there going, would you just move on, please? Versus the person that has to read every label. thinking about that more, especially flight instructors in this group. You really gotta think about that. I do a maneuver someplace, move on. Do a maneuver someplace else, move on. The Ramona dirt patch, that place is still a hot mess, okay? Stay away from it. They have hired professional photographers. They take your picture on high-res cameras, and they match it up to the flyware, and they send it off to the FAA. That's it. And then their lawyers go after you from there. And the only thing I can do at that point is kick you into play. All right? So, do something. Stay legally above the altitudes or property, okay? Remember, just because nobody's out there doesn't mean you can fly lower than 500 feet because, well, it's open space. If it's private property, it's private property. It's 1,000 feet. Persons and property for 91-119 in the air force. Okay? So really, folks, I can't stress this enough, especially those who are listening on YouTube.
I can't hear you because you're over there.
Oh, well, anyways, don't fly all over people's houses. Anyways, really think about where you're flying because they are playing hardball, and what they're trying to do is get one person. If they can get a judgment on one school, club, group, whoever, that opens up the court case. Now they can use that court case and just use it on everybody. So, think about what you're going to do. Go ahead.
All right, we're back. So where I went from here is the member dashboard. So member dashboard's got tons of information here. These are the quiz results I was telling you here. So you can see almost 67% of the people got all three correct. Guarantee you it's going to be pretty much the opposite for the next quiz for August. But go take it if you have it. Anything that you submit from the website will show up here. This is not retroactive, so anything that was not submitted prior to, or submitted rather prior to, I think it was somewhere around July 15th, or anything that, actually, I'm sorry, July 1st, or anything on the old website won't show up here. Fuel receipts will all show up here, so you always have a, you can download them, you can do whatever you want with them. This is all your data only, it's just your receipts. So just some general information about operations. So the checkouts, where most of the time is spent with checkouts are aircraft checkouts versus new member checkouts, but that's a close second. And you can see all these other stuff. You can highlight it. You can see all the stuff here. This is coming. And then the safety overview. So anytime someone submits an incident report, it'll show up here, and you can see for the most part they're minor incidents, which is if this was blank that would be even better, but that's kind of a pipe dream, kind of like zero COVID. But anyway, the hangar rash accidents, you can see their percentages in here. So this is all live, real time. Anytime someone submits something, this is updated. Right? There's no delay in this. The hours stuff that's right here. This is coming from Schedule Master. It's not there yet. It probably Q4 will have this stuff here. Again, most of our stuff is ready. We're just waiting on Schedule Master. If you have IDP claims, they will show up here along with the status. So owners, members, doesn't matter. Your IDP claims will show up here. You also get an email anytime the status changes. However, you can go here too. If you've done any instructor checkouts, I'm shocked there's not one in here, but you can see all your checkouts here. There aren't any for this person that I logged in as. I'm sorry. These are so members. These are checkouts that you have done with an instructor. They'll show up here. So if Zach does a primary instruction and says, okay, he's good to go to 172, submits a pilot checkout, it'll show up under their dashboard. Okay, so they'll have that information. This is all aggregated data from the club in general. Again, transparency is the idea. You can see that you can see here all IDP claims total $14,000 so far this calendar year. And you can see the categories are interesting. Almost all of it is excessive wear and tear. That's people going in and doing something with an airplane that is breaking something that otherwise shouldn't break. That stuff all shows up in here. Okay, and then who submits the claim. So all this stuff is in here. You can search or you can filter this data out if you want to be, you know, whatever, just want to see excessive wear and tear, you can see all that stuff. Same thing with the incident information. So that's just de-identified information from those reports that we get.
So I don't have to fill out that PDF for the ADP anymore?
Correct. Let's not put that there. All right, so this is, again, all the accident information here. Calendar year, again, this is calendar year. So both of these are calendar year. So this is the interesting one here. Anything, again, that safety concern report that we get, all shows up here. Okay, this might be someone in the club. It might not be. We've actually had, I can tell you right now that this one here was not someone that's in the club. So you can click on the picture. If there is a picture, you can see what they reported, tail number, etc. So you can see there's a lot of tire, well, I don't know about a lot. There's 2 tire things here, and I don't know what's on page 2. More tire stuff? No, latches, locks, that kind of thing. This is another lock issue. So this is kind of, this ties into, my guess would be an IDP claim, this lock being broken. So there was another, so there's this one, I think, the low-flying airplane. Anything low-flying airplanes, I can almost guarantee you, come from someone that's not a club member. I say that, however, the most recent one was actually a club member that saw another club member that was flying low and decided to report it. Most of the time, this stuff doesn't go to the FAA. However, we certainly don't report it to the FAA. If the reporting party reports it to the FAA, there's nothing I can do. And a lot of times, you guys have seen, especially the instructors over the years, the people that are on the coast, especially, that have all kinds of data they pull, and they send. If it's egregious enough, they'll send it to the FSDO. I'm sure that some of you here may have gotten calls from the FSDO about that specifically. Okay, low-flying airplanes, big deal. Okay, any questions about this? Good. All right, last section here is specifically for instructors, but just so everybody sees what some of the instructor stuff. So CFI specific information is here. There are so just showing this, the dual given. This is not currently updated real time. We're waiting, again, on Schedule Master. Pretty much everything we're waiting on Schedule Master. We've kind of gotten to a point. They've got a list of stuff, and they're just trying to punch through it. These 3 things, this is all similar stuff to what all the members see. There's just a little bit more information on the instructor portals. This is all, again, updated real time. Senior instructor list, I don't need to go over that. So these are the other side of the stuff that members see on theirs. So that same checkout that Zach submitted that shows up on his client's page will show up on his page right here under his submitted checkout, so he can see that data. Okay. Again, IDP claims are shown here. Cfi Service Request stuff, this is just who's on the list and the waiting list, which is, again, that's on the other part of the page too. The interesting thing here is Cfi Service Request history. So on the left side is the actual service request. It's all de-identified. These are approximate values, that they're just fixed values that I place in there just based on what I would consider an average. They're probably low, would be my guess, and it's more informational. These are, so for CFIs, 7 days after a CFI service request is submitted, the member will receive a survey. They take that survey, and then it will show up here immediately. So you can see what they're being asked. There's only 5 questions. Excuse me. And you can see where the aggregate of those, all of them, and where they show up here. And it's 1 to 5. It won't go above 5.
Could you make one clarification, because we're running into this a lot, and this goes to the CFIs as well as the members. instructor also needs to go in there in the CFI section and put in the flight checkout.
Okay, yeah, so good question.
We're running into that a lot.
So now this, the pilot checkout form is now tied to Schedule Master. It looks at one thing and one thing only. It looks at the email address. So if I do a checkout with Roland and I put a wrong email, or if I put an email address in that's not his Schedule Master email, excuse me, it will not update. Okay, so you got to ask them, is this the email that's in your Schedule Master? Assuming that's done, it will update their account immediately. So if I do, a serious checkout with Roland, I submit that checkout, he now can book the airplane right away. Okay, you guys do not have to wait for us unless there's something wrong, unless you put the wrong address in or something. Okay. So same thing for members. Make sure that your instructor does that before you leave, ideally, so that you can go in and book the airplane.
Yeah, the CFI is the linchpin, because we're running into a lot of that where it says, well, my CFI did a checkout with me in the SR-22, but I still can't book it, so here's my checkout form. The CFI has to go into the system and do like what Shane said, and then that releases it. So make sure your CFI does it before you leave, if you're doing checkout specific.
It's been a pain to do it on the phone. So, I mean, I do it when I get home on my laptop because it's so hard to like locks or whatever. And it keeps refreshing every time I click on something. I go back to the home page. It doesn't do it in the computer, but it does it in my iPhone.
You send if it happens, let me know. It shouldn't.
I haven't made a problem on my phone lately.
Yeah, you should be able to send them in both ways.
I get one of my
Okay.
Samsung Tab 7 Plus too. It refreshes a lot better.
Okay, all right.
And one
Good to
fellow,
know.
you remember checkout, not checkout, flight review for the fellow. I turned everything in. He's trying to get into it, he's like.
You say you turned it in, did you
Put it online.
do the online process?
Exactly. Checkout form and everything. And he was having a problem, because the signature that I gave him all this, he's got an electronic logbook. So he couldn't get through on that, he had to change the signature, but still, why wouldn't he be able to get in since I submitted everything and they said they gave me an answer back, the club did, they'll take 72 hours, and so he's like,
My guess is it was a flight review.
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so there's two components to the flight review. If you fill out the flight review on the form, there's a section, there's new members, there's aircraft checkouts. Flight review is one of them. What the system will do is it will look at the person. So let's say I do a flight review with Bob in a 182. And for whatever reason, Bob doesn't have a 182 on his profile. The fact that I have submitted that flight review as an instructor will add that airplane to his profile. That's all it does. It will not update his flight review date because the member needs to provide that the second part of that check and balance is that that endorsement that you give that says I done this flight review 6156 whatever. That gets uploaded in their portal as a PDF, and then it'll update automatically. What you're talking about is that anybody that is only for flight, they're 100% logging, electronic logging. As of a few weeks ago, I don't know of any real easy way for ForeFlight to export an endorsement to a PDF. It's stupid, but there it is. So I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, people are, that happened before. Someone just like printed it to a PDF. Yes.
And also the members that.
Yeah.
They both have to go in.
Yeah.
So it's no different like in a new member checkout. You can go in there and say, the computer ready to go, and he goes in and uploads the flight just like he always did, but then it'll show up on his dashboard, and then it goes into the admin side, and then someone goes in and verifies it, make sure it went to Schedule Master and moves on, and then puts it in their file. Because that way you always have the backup on the paper docs, because when I get the call from the FAA, that's what they want. And then I just send it to them.
Yeah. So the overall premise is that we've put most of the ability to handle your clients in your hands. Now there are there are checks and balances that happen on the back end, but the delay is gone. Nobody's waiting for somebody to process a checkout. It's gone. So unless something happens, which we've had a few times, unless something happens, it's going to be automatic. Now, that brings up a good question about solos. The system is now set up, so you do primary instruction, right? Yeah, okay. So Roland goes in, he has a student, they solo, he puts in a solo endorsement. That does two things. Number one is it creates a record in the student's file that says they have a solo endorsement from the date that he submitted it. Number two is it will actually add an aircraft checkout for whatever Roland says that they're flying it. It does those two things. That person will then be able to schedule the airplane without an instructor, okay, for 90 days. Roland goes on vacation, he doesn't come back. And 91 days, that student will no longer be able to schedule solo, okay, until someone goes in and puts another endorsement in there. We were having a lot of issues where a student would go all the way through, they would get their private, and they would be a student for 10 years in the system because the system didn't have a way to differentiate, for whatever reason, the way it was designed, between a student and a private. There was never that gap never closed. So now someone goes in, they get their private certificate, pass the check ride, they upload it as a flight review. It will then be, that's a manual process right now, but it will then be changed to private, and now they can go do whatever anybody that's private can do. That makes sense? So it's a very, like 4 or 5 questions, I think, on a student pilot solo. You just go in, you put the information in about the student, what airplane they're checked out in, and you select the senior instructor. I think that's it. Okay. And then you submit it, and it's done. And just remember that after 90 days, you're going to have to go and do that again. All right. I'm not going to cover this now. If you do happen to do any, if you write any articles, they'll all show up here. So if you wanted to go back and edit them, you could do that. I'll show them there.
Can you change the expiration date instead of being 90? Because I only give them like 30 days.
No, because that was I mean, if you have certain restrictions, that's between you guys. But it's because of the fact that it was pulled from the FARs, it's just 90. So, because we've had guys that would go in and they would actually remove someone's authorization somehow. They would say, "Hey, don't do that anymore," type of thing. And so, if it becomes a problem, we can look at it. Okay. Any questions? Yep.
Does the senior instructor for a solo have to be within the club?
In the club? Yes.
So for that endorsement, my senior is in the club, but then the senior instructor is not.
How's that possible? They're a senior. I mean, the definition of a senior instructor would be an instructor that is in the club.
They're an instructor elsewhere.
Well, they wouldn't be a senior instructor then, as far as we're concerned. Yeah.
So they got to be a senior instructor in the club as well.
Yes. Whoever you're assigned to would have to sign off on it. And they would get the notification anyway. And the club pays for it. So the club pays for that senior instructor to go do that flight. We've had a dozen of them so far. Most of them were successful. So, any other questions? I don't see any questions online. Okay. Go
Is
for it.
it possible for instructors to rate other instructors? I tried to leave a rating, but couldn't get that to go through. Is it just general members that can rate the instructors?
Yes, it is, but that was so that we set that up. The short answer is I'll fix it to where you guys can rate other instructors. Okay. If there's no other, the code's coming up here. Oh, sorry. Brian answered for you.
About flight reviews, are you talking about an annual club review or a FAR review?
Well, it's both the same thing.
sometimes like I get a flight review for wings or an added rating or something like that.
That would be considered a flight review. Because if you do it through Wings, there's when you print out the certificate at the very bottom, those two little wallet cards at the bottom will actually be the 6156 endorsement. So you can upload that as your flight review.
But there won't be an instructor endorsement.
No, but because of the fact that it's Wings, it is a valid endorsement. Yeah. The code will come up here in a second. So you can take the code, you can sign in now, you can leave with it. Probably the site will start choking because everybody, will do it at the same time. Stand by. There you go. All right, you guys are free to go. It'll come up. Sign. Sign. S-I-G-N. Sign. Doesn't matter.
No, the I needs to be capital, the N needs to be lower.
Oh, I was writing it down.
All right, for those, let's see, online, I only see.
There's a space between. Oh, yeah, no problem. No problem. No, we got it fixed. It's easy to do. As long as it's like.